The chandelier over the Manhattan Hotel ballroom scattered light like crushed diamonds, coating the crowd in a fake kind of magic. Lottie Hart stood near the back wall, both hands clamped around a slim black folder. Inside were her Starlit City sketches, 6 months of work and sleepless nights, the one shot she had at the Rising Designers Award. "You look like you are about to throw up," Mia said. Her best friend popped into her field of vision, curls pinned up, lipstick fierce. She shoved a glass of sparkling water into Lottie's free hand. "Breathe," Mia ordered. "In for 4, out for 4. Remember, you are the talented one. Zoe is just good at pretending." As if summoned, Zoe Bell glided past in liquid silver, her dress hugging every curve, her smile razor-sharp behind a gloss of charm. She laughed at something Barney Cole whispered in her ear, fingers brushing his sleeve like they belonged there. Barney Cole, sponsor, big client, professional creep. Lottie tried not to look at him, but her eyes flicked over anyway. Thick fingers, loud laugh. Wedding ring flashed like a warning she wished everyone else could see. "I am fine," Lottie lied. "I just need to get through the presentation. If the judges like the sketches, maybe we finally get a real shot." Mia squeezed her arm. "When, not if." Then she scanned the room and swore under her breath. "Incoming snake." Zoe detached herself from Barney and headed toward them, 2 champagne flutes balanced perfectly between manicured fingertips. "Lottie," she trilled. "There you are. Barney has been asking about you all night." Barney's gaze followed behind her, sliding over Lottie like she was already on his plate. Lottie's stomach turned. "I thought the judges cared about the work, not the after-party," Lottie said. Zoe smiled like that was adorable. "Of course, sweetie. But relationships matter. Barney is a key sponsor. If he feels you are open to his ideas, he will push for your collection." She offered one of the flutes. "You are shaking. This will help." Mia's eyes narrowed. She does not need alcohol. She needs decent lighting and honest judges. Zoe ignored Mia. "Come on, Lottie. 1 drink. Toast to your future." Lottie wanted the night to be over already. Her fingers were cramping around the folder. She took the flute, telling herself she would only sip. The champagne tickled her tongue, a little sweeter than it should be. "To Lottie," Zoe said, clinking their glasses. May she finally stop hiding in the corner. The first sip warmed Lottie's chest. The second blurred the edge of her anxiety. The third hit wrong. The room shifted. The music seemed to move farther away. Lottie blinked, hand tightening on the folder. "Mia," she murmured. "I feel weird." Her friend leaned in. "Sit down. I will get you water." Zoe's fingers circled Lottie's elbow first. "Maybe some fresh air," she suggested. "Barney has a suite upstairs. Much quieter than this zoo. He is dying to talk business." "I do not want." Her tongue felt thick. The floor tilted. Barney appeared at her other side, his cologne heavy and cloying. "There she is," he boomed, "too close. My rising star. Let us go somewhere we can really discuss your future. I just need to sit." Lottie tried again. Her voice sounded underwater. Barney's grip clamped around her wrist. "You will feel much better upstairs." Mia stepped between them. She said she needs to sit. Zoe's smile never slipped, but her eyes went cold. "Relax, Mia. You are overreacting. Barney is offering her an opportunity." Lottie's heart hammered. Heat crawled under her skin, wrong and hot and dizzy. Something was in that drink. She knew it, the way her body knew when a hemline was a fraction of an inch off. "Zoe," she said, forcing the word out. "What did you?" Zoe's nails dug into her arm. "Do not pick tonight to be paranoid." Barney tugged harder. "We are wasting time." Something snapped. Fear cut through the fog. Lottie wrenched her wrist, shoving Barney with both hands. He stumbled, more from surprise than force. Heads turned. Zoe gasped dramatically. "Security!" she shouted. "She is drunk and attacking clients." 2 black-suited guards at the edge of the ballroom started toward them. Lottie grabbed the folder from the table, clutched it to her chest, and ran. Heels slammed against marble. The ballroom doors blurred behind her as she burst into the hallway, lungs burning. The corridor stretched ahead, lined with identical doors, thick carpet swallowing sound. "Miss," one of the guards called. "You cannot be up here." Her vision wobbled. The pattern on the carpet writhed. She grabbed at a brass handrail, missed, and laughed once, short and scared. "Think," she told herself. Left, then elevator, then street. She took a wrong turn. The drug dragged at her limbs, making everything slow and syrupy. She careened against the wall, fingers scraping over wallpaper. Her hand slammed into a door handle. Locked. The next one, also locked. The voices behind her grew louder. Stop. Her heart pounded in her throat. If Barney caught her alone in a hallway, if Zoe spun the story first, if they got the designs. Please, she whispered to no one. Open. The next handle gave beneath her palm. She stumbled into a darkened suite, the scent of clean linen and steam washing over her. The folder slipped from her grasp, sketches fanning across the carpet. She shoved the door closed and twisted the lock with shaking fingers, just as footsteps thundered past outside. Seriously? A male voice said. That is one way to announce yourself. Lottie whirled, vision swimming. A man stood near the doorway to the bathroom, a white towel slung low around his hips, damp hair pushing back from his forehead. Water beaded on his shoulders. The light from the bedroom lamps caught on his jaw, his eyes a cool gray that sharpened as he took her in. She was a mess, dress askew, hair fallen out of its careful twist, sweat slick on her skin. The room tilted. She reached out, fingers finding his forearm. Muscle flexed under warm skin. Please, she breathed. Do not let them take me. They put something in my drink. Barney and Zoe. I had to run. His expression changed in an instant. Amusement vanished. His gaze flicked to the door, where muffled voices still echoed. Who is out there? He asked. Security. She whispered. And Barney. He wants my designs, but not just a. Her throat closed. Please. He crossed the room in 2 strides and braced a hand flat against the door, body solid between her and everything outside. No one is coming in. He said. You are safe. The words slid into some cracked place inside her. Safe. She had not felt that since Zoe smiled at her over champagne. Her knees threatened to fold. He caught her around the waist, guiding her to the edge of the bed. The drug pulled at her consciousness like a rip current. I did not ask for this. She mumbled, fingers clenched in his towel by accident. I only wanted them to see my work. I know. He said quietly. I believe you. The last thing she felt before the darkness swallowed her was the solid rhythm of his heartbeat under her cheek, and the faint scent of soap and something clean. The last thing she saw was Gray eyes watching her like she mattered. She was supposed to stay invisible, just another junior designer at the edge of the ballroom. Instead, she had crashed into the wrong room, into the arms of a stranger. And nothing about her future would ever be simple again. The ceiling was wrong. Lottie stared up at it, disoriented. Her bedroom in Brooklyn had a hairline crack running across the plaster, and a water stain shaped like a map of Italy. This ceiling was smooth, pale, edged in recessed lighting. Panic snapped her fully awake. She sat up too fast. Her head pounded. Soft sheets slid around her, smelling faintly of detergent and something expensive. She was in a hotel bed, in an unfamiliar suite. Wearing, she looked down and squeaked. A white dress shirt, a size or 2 too big, schemed mid-thigh. The top buttons were undone, revealing a glimpse of the camisole she still wore. Her white party dress hung neatly over the back of a chair, pressed and clean. Her heels lined up beside it. On the nightstand sat a glass of water, 2 tablets, and a folded note. She snatched the note up with shaking fingers. You were drugged. Hotel doctor checked you. No injuries. Your dress is clean. Your folder is safe. You snore a little. Take these for the headache. Eat something before you leave. A choked laugh escaped her. Of all the humiliating details, of course he had noticed that. The memory of him flooded back, gray eyes, calm voice, the way he said, I believe you. Heat crawled up her neck. She touched her face like she could rearrange last night. Okay. She told herself. Okay, you are alive. You are dressed. You still have your bones and your job, and maybe your dignity, if you do not think about the snoring. Her phone buzzed angrily on the nightstand. 17 missed messages. Mia, where are you? Zoe says you went upstairs. To network. If you are dead, I will kill you. Call me now. Lottie's stomach turned. If Zoe was already spinning stories, the office would be a minefield. She swallowed the tablets, drained the water, and scrambled out of bed, shrugging into her dress. The room was empty. Kay was nowhere in sight. Some small, stung part of her was relieved. Another part was disappointed. On the desk, next to her folder, lay a hotel room key, and a breakfast tray that had gone cold. The care behind both hit harder than the hangover. She grabbed the folder and hesitated. Then she turned the note over and scribbled on the blank side with the pen by the phone. Thank you for helping me when no one else would, and for believing me. I am sorry I crashed into your night and stole your shirt. Lottie Hart. She left the note on the pillow and fled before she could think about it anymore. By the time she pushed through the glass doors of her office building, the headache had shrunk to a dull throb. The shame, however, had grown into a boulder lodged under her ribs. Mia waited in the lobby, pacing a rut into the polished floor. Finally, Mia rushed her, eyes scanning Lottie from head to toe. "You look alive. I pictured you in a dumpster behind the hotel, or chained to Barney's minibar." "Do not say his name," Lottie groaned. "Not before coffee." They squeezed into the elevator together. Mia hit the button for their floor and crossed her arms. "Tell me everything," she demanded. "Zoe has been acting like she hosted your private afterparty. People are whispering. I already threatened 3 of them with creative stapler use." Lottie pulled her folder closer. "Zoe put something in my drink. I am sure of it. Barney tried to pull me upstairs. I fought him and ran. I ended up in someone else's suite instead." Mia's face went from furious to homicidal. "She drugged you. It felt wrong," Lottie said softly. "Too strong, too fast. If that man had not believed Mia." She swallowed. "He called a doctor. He washed my dress. He saved my designs. Then he let me sleep in his bed and apparently listened to me snore." Mia blinked. "Did anything else happen?" "No," Lottie said, cheeks burning. "I am 98% sure. I do not remember everything, but the doctor's note said no injuries. And the guy left a snarky comment about my snoring. Creeps do not usually bother with jokes." Mia exhaled hard. "Okay, so you almost got trafficked, then accidentally landed in the one decent man in Manhattan's room. We are buying the universe a drink later." The elevator doors slid open. Noise hit them, first a low hum of gossip and keyboard clacking. Lottie braced herself. Zoe stood near the coffee machine, arms folded, surrounded by a small audience. Her eyes lit up when she saw Lottie. "Well, look who finally came in," Zoe sang. "Rough night. Barney said you were a little enthusiastic before you bolted." Mia stiffened. "Say that again and I will show you enthusiastic." Zoe's smile curved. "Relax. I am only worried about the company's reputation. Clients do not like being pushed around." She tilted her head at Lottie. "At least tell me you got something out of it. You were gone for hours." Lottie's skin burned. "You put something in my champagne." The room went quiet. Zoe laughed, too loud. "Paranoid much? You probably cannot hold your liquor. That is not my fault. I could barely stand 10 minutes after drinking it," Lottie said. "That was not normal. I ended up running for my life in your sponsor's hotel." Zoe's gaze flicked around, gauging reactions. "She is making excuses. Honestly, Lottie, if you wanted to sleep your way up, you could at least own it." Mia stepped forward. "She did not." A new voice cut through everything. "Lottie Hart." The timbre was low, controlled, and carried in a way that made people turn without quite deciding to. Conversations died mid-sentence. Lottie turned, heart slamming against her ribs. The man from the hotel suite stood in the doorway, fully dressed now in a charcoal suit that fit like it had been tailored on his body. His dark hair was perfectly in place, his gray eyes cool and assessing. A discreet security badge clipped to his pocket bore a logo Lottie recognized from the hotel's brochures. It was on every wall last night. "Walker Hotels." "You," she blurted before she could stop herself. His mouth almost quirked. "Miss Hart, good morning." He looked past her at the assembled staff. "I apologize for the interruption. My name is Keith Walker. I own Walker Hotels Group." Silence hit like a dropped curtain. Someone dropped a pen. Zoe's face drained of color. Keith let the information settle like dust before he continued. "I am here regarding an incident that took place in my Manhattan property last night," he said. "I would like to speak with Miss Hart, Human Resources, and Mr. Cole. Ms. Bell, you should probably attend as well." Mia leaned close to Lottie and whispered, "Oh my God, your towel guy is a billionaire." Lottie wished the ground would open up beneath her feet. Instead, she nodded and tightened her grip on the folder. "Of course," Zoe said quickly, her voice a little too high. "We are happy to cooperate. I am sure this is all a misunderstanding." Keith's gaze slid to her, polite and flat as glass. "Yes," he said. "I am sure we will clear it up." The conference room felt colder than the rest of the office, like the air conditioning unit was set to interrogation. Lottie sat at one end of the long table, Mia beside her as if she could physically block any damage. Across from them, Zoe perched in a chair, legs crossed, chin high. Barney Cole squeezed his bulk into the next seat over, tie already loosened. Human Resources sat stiffly with a notebook open. A company lawyer scrolled through something on a tablet, eyes narrowed. At the head of the table, Keith Walker stood instead of sitting, hands resting lightly on the back of an empty chair. He did not raise his voice, but the room belonged to him anyway. Thank you for making time, he said. I will be as efficient as possible. Our company has always valued our partnership with Walker Hotels. HR began. We are shocked that any incident occurred on our watch. It occurred on mine, Keith said, voice mild. Which is why I reviewed the footage myself. Zoe smiled, brittle. Footage can be misleading. Keith tapped his tablet. Sometimes it is clearer than memory. He placed the device on the table and turned it so everyone could see. A video played the view from the ballroom bar, grainy, time-stamped, and devastating. Zoe stood at the counter, chatting with the bartender. 2 flutes of champagne sat in front of her. As the bartender turned to grab a bottle, Zoe flicked her fingers over one glass, dropping something in. She stirred with a cocktail straw, hands quick and practiced, then pasted on a bright smile and glided away. Lottie watched herself on the screen accept that same glass. She watched Zoe clink flutes with her like a friend. I did not. Zoe started. Keith swiped to another angle, the security camera by the ballroom doors. It showed Barney gripping Lottie's wrist as she tried to pull away, her shoulders tight with resistance. It showed her shoving him, grabbing the black folder and running. It showed Zoe pointing after her, security moving on Barney's command, not to help Lottie but to stop her. Barney snorted. You make it look like I was chasing her. She came on to me. Is that your statement? Keith asked. We can include it with the police report. Barney's jaw worked. Police report. The hotel doctor's toxicology screen showed a sedative in Ms. Hart's system. Keith said. Bartender testimony confirms Ms. Bell handled Ms. Hart's drink. Door logs show Mr. Cole trying to access several guest floors shortly after Ms. Hart fled the ballroom. He clicked again. Screenshots of chat messages popped up, enlarged enough that even Lottie could read them from across the table. Zoe, he likes them young and eager. Get her drunk and send her up. Zoe, if she wants the contract, she will not say no. Zoe, once she is compromised, she has to give us the designs. Easy win. Lottie's stomach turned. She had suspected. She had not known. Mia whispered a string of curses under her breath that would have gotten her written up on any other day. That is a taken out of context. Zoe said weakly. We were joking. Nobody did anything. You attempted to. Keith said. That is enough. He finally took the empty chair at the head of the table, posture relaxed but eyes sharp. Here is what is going to happen, he said. Walker Hotels is filing a formal complaint and handing over all evidence to the police. Mr. Cole, you will be banned from all our properties. Ms. Bell, you will be trespassed as well. I recommend your company suspend both parties while you figure out how much legal exposure you are comfortable with. HR paled. The lawyer stopped scrolling. You cannot just ruin my career. Zoe burst out. I have worked too hard for this. She knew what she was doing. She jabbed a finger at Lottie. She flirted with Barney all night. She wanted the shortcut. I wanted my work seen. Lottie said quietly. Not my body. Mia straightened. Also, she is allergic to Barney's cologne and the sound of his voice. Half the office can testify. A strangled laugh escaped someone near the door. Even Keith's mouth twitched for a second. He folded his hands. Ms. Bell, Mr. Cole, you are free to dispute the evidence with law enforcement. For now, you are no longer welcome in my hotel, and I strongly suggest your employer removes you from any projects involving my brand. HR nodded so fast it looked painful. We will, of course. Effective immediately. We do not tolerate this behavior. Lottie wanted to ask where that moral stance had been yesterday, when Zoe's word always seemed to weigh more than hers. She kept her mouth shut. She was too busy trying not to shake. Within 10 minutes, Zoe and Barney were escorted out by building security, their protests growing louder down the hallway, and then abruptly cutting off when the door swung closed behind them. Silence settled, heavy and stunned. HR cleared her throat. Miss Hart, we are so sorry you had to endure this. We will support you through whatever follows. Lottie nodded, uncertain, the folder still clutched to her chest like a shield. After everyone else filed out, only 3 people remained in the room: Lottie, Mia, and Keith. Suddenly, without the audience, he looked less like a corporate weapon, and more like the man who had braced a palm against a hotel room door to keep the world out. I am sorry you had to see all that again, he said. It is one thing to know someone betrayed you. It is another to watch them plan it. I would rather know, Lottie said. Her voice came out hoarse. At least now I am not imagining it. Mia leaned close. Do you want me to get you coffee? A lawyer? A flamethrower? Lottie managed a shaky smile. Maybe just water. Mia squeezed her shoulder and slipped out, closing the door behind her. Keith sat in the chair closest to Lottie, leaving a polite distance between them. Up close, he looked as composed as before, but there were faint shadows under his eyes she had not noticed last night. "Thank you," she said. "For everything. For helping me. For believing me. For not letting them turn me into the problem." "You were never the problem," he said. "Predators and their enablers are." He nodded at the folder in her hands. "Is that the collection you were showing last night?" Lottie flushed. "Yes. Starlit City. I guess it is cursed now." "May I see it?" he asked. She hesitated for half a second, then slid the folder across the table. He opened it carefully, as if the sketches were fragile. Lottie watched his face while he flipped through the pages, the way his brows drew together when he concentrated, the way he would occasionally tilt the page to catch more light. He moved slowly, not as someone indulging a victim, but as someone who actually cared what he was looking at. "These are good," he said finally. "No, they are excellent. You capture the energy of the city without making it look cheap. I especially like this one." He tapped a blazer stitched with constellations. Subtle, but not timid. Her throat tightened. "Thank you." He closed the folder and set it down between them. "Walker Hotels is rolling out a rebrand," he said. "New uniforms, updated styling for our staff at the Manhattan property, and 2 others. We were going to hire a big-name studio. After seeing these, I would rather hire you." Lottie blinked. "Me?" Her voice squeaked on the last letter. "You," he confirmed. "You have a point of view. You understand what it feels like to move through this city at night and still want to be seen as human. That is what I want for my staff." He smiled faintly. "Also, anyone who can run in heels while drugged has the stamina for a 3-month design sprint." A strangled noise escaped her that might have been a laugh. "This does not feel real. It is not charity," he said quietly. "If you say no, we will find someone else. But I would rather it be you." The old dread crept in. "People will say I got the job because of what happened. Then they will be wrong," he said. "If you had gone home at 10, I would still offer you this after seeing your work." The scandal only changed the timing. Her eyes stung. She blinked hard. "What exactly are you offering?" she asked. 3-month contract as lead designer on the capsule collection, he said. "Competitive rate, full credit. My team will send over details, but the work would start next week." She thought of the tiny apartment she shared with Mia, of the freelance gigs she juggled to pay rent, of the way her heart had soared the first time she saw her sketches on a model. She thought of Zoe insisting that success only came through people like Barney. "I want to say yes," she admitted. "I just do not want to look like I am taking a handout." Keith held her gaze. "You are not. You are signing a contract. There is a difference." She took a breath and felt something inside her settle. "Okay," she said. "Then yes, I will do it." His smile reached his eyes this time. "Good. My assistant will email you the documents by the end of the day." Mia burst back into the room, juggling 3 bottles of water and a muffin. "I brought you hydration and carbs and oh my god, are you signing something? Did I miss a life moment?" Lottie laughed, the sound a little wet. "Apparently I just became Walker Hotel's new designer." Mia dropped one of the water bottles. "What?" Keith stood and offered his hand to Lottie. She shook it, palm slightly clammy, heart racing for reasons that had nothing to do with sedatives this time. "Welcome aboard, Miss Hart," he said. "Try not to break my company." She smiled back. "I will do my best. But no promises about your dress code." 3 weeks later, the warehouse in Brooklyn pulsed with bass and nerves. String lights crisscrossed the ceiling, casting the exposed brick in warm gold. Backstage, chaos reigned. Shoes on, attitude up, no one falls. Lottie called, weaving through the crowd of models in her Starlit City collection. "Remember, this is about movement. Walk like you own the night." She sounded more confident than she felt. Under her breath, she whispered counts and design notes, fingers twitching over invisible hemlines. "You know," Mia said from behind a garment rack. "Most people would be curled in a ball by now. You, on the other hand, are giving TED Talks to 6-foot goddesses." Lottie adjusted a lapel on one of the blazers. "If this flops, I go back to begging for freelance gigs." "Correction," Mia said. "If this flops, you still have a signed contract with Walker Hotels. This is extra." "Do not call my dream extra," Lottie hissed. Mia grinned. "Fine. It is the deluxe edition." Out front, the Rising Designers Award audience buzzed industry insiders, influencers, 2 cool editors with perfect hair. Lottie peeked through the curtain and spotted more than one phone pointed at the runway, already live streaming. Movement near the back caught her eye. Her breath hitched. Keith Walker stood near the far wall, not in the front row, but just behind it, hands in his pockets. No entourage, no fanfare, just a keen gaze taking in the room. He wore a navy suit tonight, tie undone at the collar, like he had not had time to finish dressing before coming over. He sensed her watching and glanced up. Their eyes met across the crowd. He lifted 2 fingers in a subtle salute. The gesture steadied her more than any breathing exercise. "Showtime!" the stage manager shouted. The music shifted. The lights dimmed. Lottie's collection walked out into the world. Models flowed down the runway in midnight blues and charcoal blacks, silver thread catching the light like constellations. Blazers cut sharp, trousers fluid, dresses hugging, and then flaring in all the right places. The audience leaned forward as one. Lottie watched from the wings, every muscle tight. When the final look turned at the end of the runway, a coat lined with a print of the city's skyline inverted like a reflection, the room actually went quiet for half a breath. Then the applause hit. It rolled over her, a wave of sound that left her lightheaded. She saw people stand. She saw cameras flash. She saw Keith clap, expression unreadable, but attention locked on the stage. She wanted to cry. She wanted to laugh. Instead, she wiped her palms on her dress and braced for the next part, the judge's deliberation. Backstage, designers milled around trying to look casual and failing. Lottie perched on a crate with Mia, bouncing her knee. "You were amazing," Mia said. "They would be idiots not to crown you." "Do not jinx it," Lottie muttered. A familiar voice floated over the noise. "Some of us do not need crowns. We just need the right connections." Zoe stepped into view, immaculate as ever despite her recent suspension. She wore a press badge around her neck, likely borrowed or stolen. Her smile was pure poison. "What are you doing here?" Mia snapped. "You were banned from the building. This is not Walker Hotels," Zoe said. "It is a community venue. I am free to support the arts." She tilted her head at Lottie. "Nice show. Shame about the designs." Lottie stiffened. "What are you talking about?" Zoe held up her phone. On the screen was a social media post from a mid-level influencer showing side-by-side photos, one from Lottie's runway show, one from an obscure Eastern European designer's collection 3 years ago. The silhouettes were similar. The caption read, "I.S. this. Inspiration. Or something more. I wonder what the judges will think when they see this." Zoe purred. "Copying will kill your career faster than scandal ever could." Lottie's throat closed. "I did not copy anyone. I have never seen that collection." "That is the beauty of the internet," Zoe said. "Someone has seen everything, and people love a takedown story." Mia snatched the phone from her hand. "This is a reach and you know it. 2 designers using stars and cityscapes is not theft." "Sit down." Zoe lifted a brow. "We will see what the judges say." A staffer appeared at Lottie's elbow, breathless. "They are calling everyone. Announcement in 5. Lottie's stomach flipped. Zoe's smirk settled like a curse at the base of her spine. On stage, the finalists lined up, collections displayed on mannequins behind them. The host made jokes no one laughed at. The head judge, a legendary editor with a reputation for brutal honesty, stepped up to the microphone. "This year," she said, "we saw a lot of talent, a lot of trends, a lot of people trying very hard to be loud without saying anything new." She smiled faintly. "Then there was one collection that felt like a real conversation with the city." Lottie stopped breathing. The judge gestured toward Lottie's models. Starlet City managed to be sharp and wearable while still feeling like a love letter to the nights that make you want to quit and stay forever at the same time. The winner of this year's Rising Designers Award is Lottie Hart. The crowd roared. Mia screamed somewhere off to the side. Lottie stood frozen as the judge beckoned her forward. "Go," someone whispered at her shoulder. She turned. Keith stood just behind the curtain, close enough now that she could see the warmth at the edge of his usually cool gaze. "You earned it," he said. She stumbled onto the stage, accepted the trophy with hands that shook, and said some words she barely remembered later. Something about the city, about the people who believed in her, about not taking the shortcuts that hurt other people. When she stepped off stage, cameras followed. Interviews, flashes, congratulations blurred together until she felt like she was floating several inches above her own life. "Miss Hart." A hand touched her elbow, gentle but firm. Keith guided her toward a quieter corner, out of the main crush of bodies. "I know you are busy being adored," he said, "but we should address the rumor before it grows teeth." He held up his phone. On the screen was the same side-by-side post Zoe had shown her backstage. Lottie's chest tightened. I swear, I did not copy anyone. I started this collection months ago. I can show you the sketches with timestamps, the fabric orders. I believe you, he said immediately. I also anticipated jealousy. He swiped to another image, a collage of various city-inspired collections throughout the years, from high fashion to streetwear. Neon lines, star patterns, skyline silhouettes. Cities and stars are not proprietary, he said. If anyone pushes this, they will have to argue that every designer, who ever added a constellation to a blazer plagiarized the same idea. It will not hold. Tell that to the internet, Lottie muttered. I already did, he said. Walker Hotels just posted a statement congratulating you on the award and announcing our upcoming collaboration. We called your collection distinct, contemporary, and exactly what this city's nights feel like right now. The narrative is being written as we speak. Lottie stared at him. You did that? Of course, he said. You are about to be tied to my brand. I do not let anonymous accounts tear my people apart. Her people. The words warmed something she had not realized was cold. Thank you, she said softly. His gaze searched her face for a moment. You do not have to thank me every time I do the right thing. It makes it sound rare. She laughed, a little embarrassed. I am not used to power being used to protect instead of to threaten. He looked like he wanted to say more. Before he could, a photographer appeared, asking for a shot of them together. Designer and sponsor, the man said. The internet will eat it up. Lottie almost said no on instinct. Keith glanced at her, letting her decide. She nodded. Okay. They stood side by side. The photographer adjusted them, angling their bodies so Lottie and the trophy were front and center, Keith slightly behind like a quiet pillar. Closer, the photographer urged. You two look like strangers. Keith's hand hovered for a second, then rested lightly at the small of her back, warm even through the fabric of her dress. Lottie's breath hitched, but she did not move away. The camera flashed. For a fraction of a second, Lottie imagined future headlines, from wrong room to runway royalty. Grumpy hotel king and his starlet queen. Ridiculous, she told herself. He was her boss. Her client. The man who had seen her drooling on his pillow. But when the photo hit the internet an hour later, the comments flooded in. They look good together. We found our new ship. Please tell me this is a rom-com, and not real life. Mia sent her a screenshot with a dozen heart emojis. You better not mess this up, the message read. For fashion, and also my entertainment. Lottie shook her head, smiling, and texted back, it is not like that. Even as she typed it, a treacherous part of her wondered how it could ever be anything else. The next few months moved like a montage. By day, Lottie practically lived at Walker Hotel's Manhattan property, tucked away in a glass-walled studio that used to be a conference room. Swatches and sketches covered every surface. Mannequins stood at attention in half-finished uniforms, some in sleek navy suits, others in softer silhouettes that still meant business. She learned how the hotel actually ran the bellhop's aching feet, the front desk clerk's need for pockets, the housekeeping staff's hate for stiff fabrics. She listened, adjusted, redesigned. You know you are allowed to go home sometimes. Mia pointed out one Tuesday night, showing up with takeout and a portable steamer. I am starting to think you are secretly married to an ironing board. I will sleep when the hemlines are perfect, Lottie said, pinning a cuff. And when no one's but rips open a seam, while they lift luggage. By evening, she often found herself in meetings with Keith and his executive team, presenting updates, defending bolder choices, pushing back when someone suggested something bland. We want our staff to be comfortable blending in, one senior manager said once. No, Keith said before Lottie could. We want them to look like they belong in the space they help create, not like furniture. He glanced at Lottie. You heard him, no furniture. She smiled and scribbled a note. Later, alone in the elevator, she replayed the way he backed her in front of his people, turning their hesitation into a shared problem instead of hers alone. Outside of work, her life stayed weird. Zoe and Barney's case crawled through the system. Lawyers called. Detectives checked in. Every time Lottie's phone buzzed with an unknown number, her stomach clenched. One afternoon, as she adjusted a collar on a mannequin, Mia burst into the studio waving her own phone like a flag. It finally happened, she crowed. Zoe pled out. Lottie dropped her measuring tape. What? She took a deal, Mia said, breathless. Community service, mandatory counseling, career in ruins. Barney is going to trial. The news outlets picked it up. Want to see? She held up a headline. Sponsor caught in hotel seduction scandal. Women come forward. Lottie's own name appeared farther down. Her statement quoted, her role described not as a temptress, but as a target. Her chest felt too tight. I never wanted to become a story. You became a warning. Mia said gently. And a precedent. That is different. Keith knocked on the open door, suit jacket off, tie loose. I heard. He said. How are you holding up? Better than Barney. Mia said. He is about to learn what happens when you treat people like vending machines. Keith's mouth twitched. That is one way to put it. He looked at Lottie. If you need time off, take it. We can move deadlines. I do not want to pause, Lottie said. Designing this line is the one part of all this that feels like mine. He nodded, accepting that. Then let us focus on that. As the launch date for the new uniforms approached, stress levels climbed. Final fittings blurred into marketing meetings. Lottie posed for a profile in a design magazine, awkwardly holding sketches, while the photographer told her to look fierce. Do I look fierce? She asked afterward, showing Mia a preview shot. You look like you might cry or bite someone, Mia said. Which is your default state, so yes. When the first batch of uniforms rolled out onto the lobby floor, desk staff, in tailored navy with silver accents, bellhops in sleek coats with star-patterned linings, housekeeping in breathable fabrics that still looked polished, the effect was immediate. Guests commented. Photos trend. Staff smiled more. You did it, Keith said, watching a bellhop spin to show off his jacket to a colleague. You made them look like a team instead of a hierarchy. Lottie stood beside him, near the lobby's central column, her reflection caught in the polished marble. She wore a version of her own blazer tonight, paired with dark jeans and boots, comfortable enough to run in if she had to. Thank you for letting me, she said. Their shoulders brushed when a guest passed too close, stepping around a rolling suitcase. Static jumped between them, both of them stilled. It had been there from the first night, humming under the surface between towel and shirt, between note and offer, between courtroom updates and design critiques. She had ignored it, buried it under work and trauma, and the gap in their bank accounts. He was her client, her boss, technically. The power imbalance alone made her cautious. The fact that he had saved her once made her wary of mistaking gratitude for something else. But now, standing in the lobby they had effectively redesigned together, the distance between them felt different. Less like a wall, more like a question. You know, he said softly, eyes still on the staff. I used to walk this lobby at night pretending I was invisible, just to see how my hotels functioned when no one thought I was watching. I can picture you in a hoodie, haunting the coffee bar, she said, trying to lighten the moment. You are not far off, he admitted. I saw a lot of things I did not like. People who thought the guests were obstacles, staff who thought they were disposable. Why tell me this now? She asked. He finally turned to her, gray eyes serious. Because the first time you walked into my space, you were running from people who thought you were disposable. I never want my properties to feel like that for anyone again. Her throat tightened. You already changed it. For me. He held her gaze for a beat too long. Maybe I want to change it for you in other ways too. Her heart stuttered. She opened her mouth, not sure what would come out, when a shrill voice cut through the lobby. There you are. Lottie flinched on instinct. For a split second, she saw Zoe in her mind's eye. But it was someone else, a local reporter with a crew in tow. We need you for a quick interview, the woman said, already signaling for the cameramen to set up. Designer and CEO together. Great human interest angle. Keith stepped back, mask slipping smoothly into place. Of course, he said. Lottie? She squared her shoulders. Let us do it. Later that night, after the cameras left and the lobby quieted, Mia dragged Lottie to the hotel bar for a celebratory drink. So, Mia said, stirring her mocktail with a tiny straw. When are you going to kiss him? Lottie choked on her ginger ale. I am not, he is my boss. Mia rolled her eyes. He is also a grown man who looks at you like you hung the moon, and then embroidered it on a blazer. And your contract is almost up. That is not how ethics works. Lottie protested, though her pulse sped up. Also, you are exaggerating. Am I? Mia asked. On the other side of the room, Keith sat at a corner table, head bent over his phone. As if sensing the scrutiny, he glanced up. When his eyes found Lottie, something in his expression softened, the way it only did for her. He lifted his glass in a silent toast. Fine. Lottie muttered, cheeks hot. Maybe you are not exaggerating. A year after the night she crashed through the wrong door, Lottie stood in front of a mirror in a different hotel suite, doing battle with her hair. "Stop touching it," Mia scolded from the bed. "You look great. You are going to rub the shine right off." "I am nervous," Lottie said, twisting a curl. "Why am I nervous? I know this building better than my own apartment." "Because your very rich, very repressed almost boyfriend told you to meet him on the top floor in something comfortable but nice," Mia said. "That is proposal code." Lottie spun around. "He did not say proposal. He said small celebration." Mia said. "And I suppose the florist hauling 3 boxes of star-shaped fairy lights upstairs is for a corporate memo." Lottie's heart tripped. "You saw the lights?" "Maybe," Mia said. "Maybe I bribed someone in logistics with donuts. Point is, he is clearly planning something. Do not freak out. Just remember you already survived Zoe, Barney, and the rising designer's bathroom line. You can survive love." Lottie laughed, her nerves loosening a notch. "Who says anything about love?" Mia arched a brow. "Please, you talk about him like he is your favorite typeface. Clean, reliable, secretly dramatic." "Get out," Lottie said, but she was smiling as she pushed Mia toward the door. When she was alone, she smoothed her dress, a deep blue slip with a subtle sheen that caught the light when she moved. Over it, she wore her favorite Starlit City blazer, the first prototype she had ever made. It felt like armor and history in one. She took the private elevator Keith had told her to use. It hummed up the floors, numbers blinking past. The doors opened onto the same hallway she had stumbled down a year before, but it felt different now. Less like a maze, more like a memory she had reclaimed. The door at the end stood open. Soft music floated out, mixed with the faint clink of glass. Lottie stepped inside and stopped. The suite had been transformed. Fairy lights draped from the ceiling, casting gentle starlight over everything. The curtains were open, Manhattan's skyline spread out in a glittering sprawl. On the coffee table, models wearing miniature versions of her uniforms stood in a circle around a framed headline, "Walker Hotel's Starlit City Uniforms Set New Standard." "Wow," she breathed. "I had help," Keith said. He emerged from the small kitchenette, sleeves rolled, tie gone. He looked more relaxed than she had ever seen him, like he had finally exhaled after holding his breath for a decade. "From home?" she asked. "A team of romantic consultants?" "Mia," he admitted. "And my sister. They threatened bodily harm if I made it look like a board meeting." She laughed, the sound light in the twinkling room. "They did good." He walked toward her, holding 2 glasses of sparkling cider. "Happy almost anniversary," he said, offering one. "Of the night you broke into my suite and stole my shirt." She clinked her glass against his. "Happy anniversary of not calling security." They stood side by side for a moment, looking out at the city. The lights outside mirrored the ones inside, as if the whole skyline had dressed up for them. "It has been a year," Keith said softly. "You redesigned my staff, my lobby, my PR strategy." He glanced at her. "And some things I did not realize needed redesigning." Her chest tightened. "Such as?" He shifted to face her fully. "My belief that certain parts of my life were off limits. That someone like me could not have this." He gestured between them. "Not without hurting someone else." "You do not hurt me," she said. "You annoy me, and you push me, and you terrify me with your calendar invites. But you do not hurt me." His mouth curved. "Good. I would like to keep it that way." He set his glass down and reached into his pocket. Her heart jumped into her throat. "Keith," she whispered. "Let me say this while I can still form sentences," he said, a hint of nerves slipping into his usually steady voice. "The night you ran into my room, I thought you were trouble. The kind that would blow up my schedule, my priorities, my carefully walled-off life." He smiled. "I was right." She swallowed hard, eyes burning. "You survived something ugly," he continued. "You took that and turned it into something bright. You made my hotels better. You made me better." And somewhere between security footage and fitting sessions, I realized that every time I walked into a room without you in it, I was looking for you. Tears slipped down her cheeks. She did not bother to hide them. He dropped to one knee. The room tilted, but in a good way this time. "Lottie Hart," he said, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. Inside, a ring caught the fairy lights and threw them back in tiny constellations of its own. "Will you marry me? Will you keep breaking into my life, rearranging my furniture, and arguing with my executives for the rest of our days?" A laugh burst out of her, tangled with a sob. "You cannot just propose with all my metaphors," she said. "That is cheating." Is that a no? She shook her head, barefoot now before she realized she had kicked her heels off. It is the loudest yes I have ever had in me. He slid the ring onto her finger, hands only slightly unsteady. When he stood, she met him halfway, arms going around his neck. His kiss was sure and careful, and a little desperate, like he had been holding it back for months. The city hummed outside, traffic and sirens and music stitching the night together. Inside, under the fairy lights, everything narrowed to the taste of cider, and the press of his palm against her back. Later, after they had called Mia, who screamed, his sister, who claimed full credit, and Lottie's parents, who cried and asked 100 questions, they ended up on the balcony, with a blanket wrapped around both of them. Do you ever think about that first night? She asked. Every time I walk past that door. He said. I wonder how close I came to missing you. If you had turned left instead of right, if my door had actually been locked, I would probably have gotten arrested for loitering in a hallway. She said. And you would still be wandering your lobbies alone, judging people's luggage. He had to laugh. Instead, you stole my shirt and my piece. And your company color palette. She added. He squeezed her hand. You can have all of it. My shirts, my colors, my top floors. She looked out at the city that had almost swallowed her whole, and then spit her out somewhere better. I used to think that one bad night had ruined my life, she said quietly. Now I think it just shoved me through the right door. He pressed a kiss to her temple. For what it is worth, I am very glad you walked into the wrong room. Under the crackle of city lights and the soft glow of fairy stars, Lottie believed him. Her career was hers. Her voice was hers. And so now was the man who had offered her safety and then partnership without demanding a price. The girl who once ran barefoot down a hallway with a stolen folder now walked toward the future, in a dress she had designed herself, hand in hand with the man who had chosen to stand between her and the people who thought she was disposable. The universe had thrown her into a nightmare and an unexpected rom-com all at once. She had escaped the trap, burned the script, and rewritten the ending. This time, the door she stepped through led somewhere she wanted to stay.
Thanks for watching. Follow for more romance stories.